It is always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. Hope you had a Merry Christmas and get ready for a happy, healthy new year. We are brought to you by our good friends at Smiley One and Bryant, Northeast Ohio's premier heating and cooling service. All right, Daryl. So we are in a great state. Hopefully a whiteout on Thursday night as the Browns take on the Jets. There are so many good storylines in this game, but the biggest one is win and you are in.
Yeah, it's the first time really since the team came back. Well, no, okay, well, let's go 2002. They beat the Atlanta Falcons, but then they had to sit around until like 7, 8 o'clock at night to find out whether or not they were able to get into the playoffs at 9 and 7. So this is really the first win and in scenario for Browns fans with a capacity crowd. Remember in 2020, they won the season finale, but there were only 6,000 fans in the stands because of COVID. So this will be the first time that fans can actually enjoy a playoff-like atmosphere at Cleveland Browns Stadium. They're on the lakefront since the team came back. As you mentioned, it's the team has asked for a whiteout. They're going to be wearing the all-white uniforms, the helmet, the 1946 throwback jersey, and, of course, white pants. And so they want fans to participate and wear white. There's also, I guess, something with the team app or something to light up the stadium or whatever. They do a pretty good job with those primetime games. It's usually pretty cool when they turn out all the lights in the stadium and everyone's got their phones out and they got the light going and things like that. So they're going to, I guess, be doing something special there. But I did have to laugh, Andy, on Tuesday when Kevin Stefanski basically had to remind Browns fan not to get too lit for the game so that they would be, shall we say, or as he put it, available in the fourth quarter when they're needed the most. So he had to, in his own way, remind fans, yeah, let's not get too bleep-faced before the game here so that you're at full capacity come the fourth quarter. But it should be an exciting atmosphere. I mean, look, we've had the World Series here, right? We know what Progressive Field is like in those moments. We've obviously had the NBA Finals and seen the Cavaliers win an NBA championship. We know what Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse is like in those moments, right? I think this is going to be the first time Browns fan gets pretty loud, and we've had that in small increments at that stadium. But I think this is the first time where we're going to get it for all four quarters. Should be a real exciting atmosphere.
To celebrate this game before we even got to it, you started thinking, or you just brought up like a great memory in my mind of playoff atmosphere. And I just remember going back to 86 and being at the game when the Browns beat the Jets. Mark Gastineau had a personal foul at the end of the game, and then that would propel the Browns into the AFC Championship that year. And I think about that game against the Jets. And it's interesting that you bring that. Then I watched Hot Tub Time Machine yesterday too, just to make sure that the Browns.
John Elway did not complete that touchdown pass.
Yeah, that led to other things in the movie, but I just started. You started thinking about that, but again, like the movie Major League, that might be one of the greatest moments in Browns history. Came from the movie Hot Tub Time Machine. Unfortunately, I'm the only guy that ever brings that up or remembers that. All right, so the Browns have some things going on though going into this game. Daryl, who's punting? Who's kicking?
Well, it doesn't seem like it's going to be the regulars, unfortunately. So, and this is a domino effect. So Dustin Hopkins injured his left hamstring while trying to chase down the 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown.
Did we learn a lesson on that? Like, should kickers just not even bother?
Well, no, because they are football players, and
you don't want to go in the locker room and say, "Hey, dude, you laid down on that." I get that. I understand both of it. Give him the 7 at that point, because when I saw Hopkins running, I was like, "Oh boy!"
And especially because it's on that terrible turf, right?
Yes.
So he pulls his hamstring, which means Corey Bojorquez has to kick off. And then what happens? Corey Bojorquez injures his left quadriceps kicking off. So now the domino effect, right? Dorian Thompson-Robinson, oh, by the way, is on injured reserve.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one, too.
He's on a crutch in the locker room Tuesday morning. And PJ Walker now is your backup quarterback. Partially because, well, he got hit a few too many times when he went in, and then Joe Flacco had to go back in. So I think it was a combination. Things were slipping away a little bit, and then also,
Well, I
too,
also, although it was a 14-point
PTR was
game at
hurt.
that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, they went first team offense and first team defense.
yeah, you had to put the starters back in. So the Browns unfortunately could not properly blow a team out, which kind of sucks. But at least it wasn't a last 2-minute nail biter. So they have a new kicker, and that's Riley Patterson. He's got 37 games under his belt with the Lions and Jaguars. 58 of 66 career field goal tries, 87 of 90 on PATs. He was with the Lions this year, appeared in 13 games, made 15 of 17 field goals. So that seems to be a pretty solid pickup there. And then
Daryl, tell me how bad he is outside of 50. Just say he's horrible. Say he's the worst kicker you've ever seen outside of 50 yards. Please tell me that, because that is the kiss of love, not death.
He sucks. Does that work for you?
Yes. Let's flash back. Back to when Daryl said that Dustin Hopkins couldn't hit one after 50. Oh, that was the greatest line in the history of It's Always Game Day in Cleveland. You were so depressed when they brought you, like, this guy can't hit one over 50. And that's all he's done since he got here. So hopefully he gets healthy to get him back for next week. Is there a possibility he can get back for next week?
I don't think so, because Kevin Stefanski did not seem very optimistic when he was asked if he was going to be ready for the playoffs. And Stefanski was like, I don't know. I'm going to have to get back to you on that one. So that wasn't the best of confidence boosters, if you will. Just so you know, in the Patterson sucks from beyond 50 yards department.
Yes. Doesn't matter what he is. I don't care if he's hit every one.
He has the exact percentage that Dustin Hopkins came to Cleveland with. 50% career make. He is 3 for 6. So he sucks from beyond 50. There. Is that
good job? Good job. We need the rider jinx on this. That's the whole thing.
Well, here's the thing. I feel terrible because, there's a segment of Browns fans that are blaming me for Dustin Hopkins' injury now, because
I'm not going to say that I wasn't thinking the same thing before.
But see, here's the thing. I was the third person that day to approach him to talk. I was not the first. I was the only one that was willing to actually put the video out there, because
but if you're going into this weird world, third time's a charm, bro. If you're the third time,
I know.
It's on you.
So
how many no-hitters I've personally blown up?
You've ruined.
Oh, I've destroyed so many no-hitters. I don't like to say it. I'll be honest with you.
Bob Feller. Bob Feller was walking up and down the press box yelling, "No hitter, no hitter, no hitter, no hitter."
All right, I'm going to give you the ultimate jinx story. Meredith is going to love this. I don't know if you've ever heard this story. So back in the day when I was traveling with the Indians, Brian Anderson, who's a super friend of the show on CLE Talking Heads, right? Super friend of the show. So we're in Arlington, Texas, and I've got a cab, and I'm sitting in front of the hotel, and I'm getting ready to go over to the ballpark at Arlington at the time. And all of a sudden, Brian Anderson and Jake Westbrook walk out, and they look at me, and they go, "Hey, are you going to the ballpark?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Come on, we'll share the cab." I said, "Okay." So all three of us get in the cab. It was my first year, I think, or second year of doing this. And I finally had access to Stats Inc. because I didn't have them when I first started. Right. And I had all these great stats in front of me. And we were just talking about the game for a second. And I forgot that Jake was starting. And I was like, oh man. I'm like, God, the air is so weird here. It's so hot during the day. Man, the ball just flies out of this ballpark. I mean, I got to tell you, this stadium right now, like, there's no other stadium in Major League Baseball that's surrendering more home runs than this ballpark. So, and Jake was totally cool about it. Never said a word about it. Didn't even think about it. Probably wasn't even listening to me when I said it. We got out of the car, and as Meredith knows, BA and I are really good friends still to this day. Our kids went to school together and stuff. And he laid into me harder than anyone's ever laid into me in professional sports, talking about you can't put negative thoughts into a pitcher's head before the game. And I was like, oh, he's starting. Damn. So I'm telling you, Daryl, I spent 9, or I think he went like 7 that night, sweating bullets. He did not give up a home run that night.
Oh, man.
And I'm telling you, I was sweating bullets all night thinking that it was my fault that Jake Westbrook was giving up home runs that night.
Well, that is like one. It's a little different. You were stuck in a cab with them, but that is one of the unwritten rules when covering baseball is day of game. You do not speak to the starting pitcher in the clubhouse.
It depends on the pitcher, Daryl. It depends on some pitchers come out and talk. They don't care. Like Kevin Millwood was Kevin was like, "Why aren't you guys talking to me? What do I have? Do I have some kind of disease or something? I don't care.
No, you're pitching tonight, bro. We're not supposed to talk to you."
Yeah, but you know what? It's garbage. If a pitcher wants to talk, he's going to talk.
Well,
it's just this whole media fence to let you know that you aren't really in the club because you can't say it. You can say good luck to a pitcher on a night that he's pitching. Who cares? It's so stupid. That is so dumb.
So the Browns added the Browns' new punter is in the name Hall of Fame, by the way.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes, share.
He's quite the hack. Matt Hack. And that's your new punter. And
it is a good year for kickers, though.
It's a great year to be a kicker.
I'm a huge Dicker fan myself. Dicker the kicker is one of my favorites. So he's on my fantasy team as well.
He has a little history with Bubba Ventrone. So this is the incestuous nature of the NFL 101 here. He kicked for Bubba Ventrone last year with the Indianapolis Colts, so that's why he's here. He's got 98 career games under his belt. He averages 44.5 yards per punt, 16 punts downed inside the 20. Here's why this stuff matters, though, in the course of Thursday night's game, aside from the fact you're going to see these guys. It matters from a roster manipulation standpoint because you're allowed 2 practice squad elevations for the game. Well, both of these guys were signed to the practice squad this week. Those are going to be your practice squad elevations. So you're not elevating any extra linebackers. You're not elevating any extra safeties or defensive linemen or offensive linemen. You're going to have to use both of your practice squad elevations for the Jets game, not for roster depth, but for your specialists. And I think that's subtle.
Wait, so explain, Daryl, I want you to explain this on the other side of the break because my dryer is squeaking, so I want to turn that off and we can get a second, take a break here for a second. Explain to me that, can you actually have a 55-man roster going into game days? Hold that thought. It's always game day in Cleveland. It is always game day in Cleveland. I'm going to go fix my dryer, and Daryl is going to tell you this important message.
Yes, I am. And by the way, no one can hear said dryer other than Andy Baskin, which makes that absolutely hilarious, by the way. Quick reminder that mobile sports betting has been legal here in the state of Ohio since January. BetQL is here to help you make the most informed bets possible. Get all of today's winners by heading to BetQL.com or simply by downloading the BetQL app, where you can claim a free 3-day trial today. Head to BetQL.com/news/923 The Fan for exclusive sportsbook offers. And thank you, Andy Baskin, for turning off a dryer that none of us could hear.
Oh, it was nasty screech, though. It was driving me crazy. I got a belt issue, so I have 2 belt issues. One is on my dryer. The other one is around my pants. So the other one I can't get.
See, now I wasn't gonna go there. It's the holiday season. I was gonna be nice.
Santa, man, just eating too much, and that's why I'm like.
I mean, the other day, Ken Carmen's on the morning show, and he's talking about caskets, and I left the double wide casket joke there. I left it alone because I'm like, it's the holidays. Let's not make fat jokes. Let's be nice to Ken. Like, I
secretly think Ken has lost a lot of weight in the last year. I don't know if you've noticed that or not.
I have not.
I'll have to ask him.
I saw him on Tuesday, and no, I've not noticed that.
Why? Because there was a burrito in his mouth? What are you talking about?
No, he was in the locker room doing his radio network stuff.
All right, so Daryl, do this. Hang on a second. Explain to me this whole up and down, 53, 55-man roster. And if they needed to, if somebody got hurt and they went on the IR, then they could sign someone to the 53 and elevate 2 off the practice squad, right?
Well, they're allowed 2 practice squad elevations, and they've been using this basically all season long. I mean, that's why people were going, the national people were going nuts about Joe Flacco because he was on the practice squad, but he was being elevated to start games. And you're allowed, when you're on the practice squad, you're allowed to be elevated up to 3 times to play on game days. And then after that, you revert back to the practice squad, but that's where you stay unless the team signs you to the active 53. So what happened? DTR went on IR. That opened up a roster spot. That meant PJ Walker was signed from the practice squad back to the active 53. So he is now your number 2 quarterback behind Joe Flacco. And again, the Browns have been, using their practice squad elevations outside of, Joe Flacco recently to just, bring up guys from the practice squad for depth. And you get 2 elevations. Well, this week, those elevations are going to have to be your 2 specialists. It's going to have to be Matt Hack as well as your new kicker, Riley Patterson. So instead of
by the way, go ahead. I have a
instead
Riley
of adding
Patterson.
some insurance at offensive line or the linebackers or safeties or whatever, now you have to basically burn both your practice squad elevations on kickers because you don't want to IR your 2 current kickers, okay? Because you want to have them possibly be available against Cincinnati or in week 1 of the wild card weekend there. So you don't want to IR either of those guys. It's a quad injury and a hamstring injury. Those things can get better over a week or 2. And also the good news is where Hopkins is concerned, that's his plant leg. It's not his kicking leg, number 1. And whereas with Bojorquez, he's a left-footed punter, and the quad is on his, the injury is to his kicking leg. And so that makes things a little more complicated, I guess is the point that I'm trying to make. When you're talking about trying to insulate your roster a little bit by using those 2 practice squad elevations, the fact that you've got to burn both of them to elevate specialists.
Yeah, I was going back and I was thinking about Patterson for a second, his Minnesota ties too, but I don't think it really connected with Kevin Stefanski at all.
Yeah, no,
Kevin was already here before that happened. So
yeah, no, Hack is the one that's really, really tied because he kicked for Bubba Ventrone last year in Indianapolis. It reminds me of when Eric Mangini became the Browns head coach and he signed every New York Jet that was available. And most of the guys were like in their 40s. I'm being a little facetious there.
We did kind of get competitive though. We weren't competitive before that, were we?
Yeah. No,
at least, we weren't great, but we were competitive.
Well,
you knew that was going to happen when Mangini came in. That wasn't like a big surprise.
Yeah, they went from the least disciplined defense to the most disciplined. Like that, they led the NFL in penalties the last year of Romeo Cornell, and then they ended up having the least amount of penalties in the second year of Eric Mangini's time. Mangini had Rob Ryan for 1 year as his defensive coordinator. And then he had Rob Ryan both years as his defensive coordinator. Mel Tucker, remember him?
Yeah.
He was the Browns defensive coordinator in 2008. He replaced Todd Grantham. And I'm totally cheating here and looking this up on my Browns bleep sheet because I have a spreadsheet of not just all the quarterbacks that have come through Cleveland, but I've got all the coaches, the GMs, and the coordinators that have come through Cleveland over the years as well tracked.
All right. There was a moment of like, what? Yesterday when our son and my wife both said, Amari Cooper didn't practice. What? I go, I'm sure they just gave him the day off.
They gave a lot of guys the day off on Tuesday. In fact, like I'll go. Here we go. Ready?
Well, let's be honest. Hang on, before you even get to it, and I see you hanging. And
I was gonna just read the injury report. There's 21 names on it, Baskin. 21.
Okay, but if you're listening, it's just a matter of keeping those guys' bodies in normal rhythm because they would have had Tuesday off anyway. So go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So your did not practices were Bojorquez, Hopkins. That's the quad and hamstring for those guys. Obo Okoronkwo with the pectoral muscle. Apparently, he's going to try and play with this thing. Anthony Walker had knee surgery last week, so no surprise there. Then we get into my favorite where they do the player, and then they do rest, and then they put an injury next to it. So you had 2 players not practice due to rest, and that was Amari Cooper, who I guess also has a minor heel injury that he's dealing with, and Myles Garrett, also got the day off,
You know,
and he's
if you
still dealing with the shoulder.
you saw the heel injury on the touchdown, the first touchdown.
Yeah.
Go back and watch it. He took 2 or 3 steps into the end zone,
Yeah.
and then something didn't look right all of a sudden. Go ahead. Next, sorry.
Yeah. And then, so then here's the folks that were limited, and the list is long. Joel Bitonio with a back and knee. Jerron Christian, shoulder. Martin Emerson Jr., ankle. Marquise Goodwin, knee. Kareem Hunt, groin. Jordan Kanashik, calf. David Njoku, rest and a knee injury. Ethan Posick, stinger. Wyatt Teller, ankle injury. And safety Juan Thornhill. Some good news there. He's back on the practice field. Missed the previous 3 games due to that calf injury. So good news to see that Juan Thornhill returned to practice, albeit limited, on Tuesday.
So I missed the part about Double O. What did you say about Double O in the front?
He's apparently he got a second opinion, apparently, and they found a doctor to tell him what he wanted to hear, and that is that he might try and come back and play.
Oh, I'll take it. Won't you?
I hope it doesn't have any long-term effect on him, and that he's able to be effective with it. Jim Schwartz a few weeks ago marveled at the fact that he basically finished that game with one arm, and he was just in such pain and agony while trying to tough it out and play through that injury. So I don't anticipate seeing him against the Jets. I honestly wouldn't even try and play him against the Bengals. Just give him another 2 weeks to just rest and relax, and then hopefully that pectoral is, I guess, a little better to where he can help you in the playoffs. But Anthony Walker, that was a scope, a microscopic procedure. So hopefully he's able to come back. Juan Thornhill coming back. So I don't know, considering all these injuries they've had, Andy, maybe the Cavalry's coming back for the playoffs. They'll get a couple of familiar faces on the field. So we'll see.
All right. Let's talk. We got about 60 seconds here. Let's talk about the whiteout for a second. Then we'll get into the playoff stuff in the last segment. So the Browns want fans, again, you alluded to this a little bit earlier in the show. The Browns want fans to wear white to the game on Thursday night. Should be a playoff atmosphere. Should be super exciting, because how often do you get a chance to be at home when your team has a chance to, I guess, do you pop champagne when you win the wild card spot? I don't know if that happens or not, but I don't tend to see it in football very often. Anyway,
they will shoot off fireworks if they clinch.
They will shoot off fireworks.
I guarantee you, if the Browns clinch Thursday night, they will shoot fireworks off at First Energy Stadium.
They do that on every win too, by the way, but that's okay. Just letting people know.
That was the joke.
Daryl, I don't know that everyone knows that, though. In fact, I just don't know. I need to explain to people. When you work with Dr. Red Pen from 10 to 2 every day.
Did you just call Jeff Dr. Red Pen?
He is Dr. Red Pen. You cannot make a mistake. You cannot make a mistake.
Oh, I need to write this down so that the next time he's in, I can call him Dr. Red Pen.
He is Dr. Red Pen. Oh, all right. Speaking of pens, get yours out, because when we come back, we're going to talk playoff scenarios, and how easy it is, we hope, with a win. It's always game day in Cleveland. It is always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. Thank you to everyone who's listening to us on the Odyssey app, and, of course, the folks that are watching us on YouTube, sometimes as much as 10,000 plus. We really, really, really appreciate all of you for listening to the hogwash that we spill every week, at least twice a week, with the amazing producer, Meredith Kane. We want to remind you that we are brought to you by our good friends at Smiley One and Bryant, Northeast Ohio's premier heating and cooling systems. Daryl.
Are you ready now for the non-convoluted?
I like the convoluted
Clinch
one.
Scenarios.
Do you know the convoluted one took up an entire segment on radio, and people were so mad at me for doing it? I'm like, can you just give me some music?
And then the best part of that was that by Saturday night, because the Steelers won and the Bills
was
won,
over.
It was over. Poof, just like that. All right, here we go. Here we go. Clinch Scenarios. I'm going to channel my inner Jim Mora here. Playoffs, all the Browns have to do is win a game. That's right. Win it in for the Browns. That is the number one clinch scenario for the Cleveland Browns this weekend, entering week 17. Beat the Jets, and you're in. But if that does not happen, and the Jets should come in here and do the unthinkable, and that is perform a miracle, turn water into wine, turn 50 loaves of bread into 5,000 to feed 1 million. Well, here's how the Browns can still make the playoffs even with a loss. You're very, very big fans all of a sudden of anyone that is playing the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend. The Steelers need to lose, and that would be against the Seattle Seahawks. So a loss or tie against the Seahawks by the Steelers would get the Browns in, even if they lose. Even if the Browns lose, should the Bills lose to Bill Belichick and the Patriots, by the way, congratulations to the Patriots. Worst win in franchise history to cost them valuable draft slots last week. But
if Bill's leaving, who cares?
Right.
If Bill's leaving,
this is the Bill Belichick revenge tour. He's doing to the Patriots what happened to the Houston Texans last year. But should the Bills lose to the Patriots with the Browns loss, the Browns would still be in. The Jaguars. We are big Carolina Panther fans all of a sudden if the Browns are unable to beat the Jets, because if the Panthers can beat the Jaguars, the Browns are in the playoffs. And the fifth and final clinch scenario also involves a potential Browns loss, but it also involves a Houston Texans loss or tie to the Tennessee Titans, plus a Colts loss or tie to the Las Vegas Raiders. So there you go. Those are your 5 very simple, basic Cleveland Browns Week 17 playoffs clinch scenarios.
All right, can you do me one favor? Outside of the Browns win, can you just name those teams that we're keeping an eye on one more time? And let me update you on what they're really kind of playing for.
So again, this is should the unthinkable happen Thursday night and the Browns do not win.
Right, that's unthinkable.
We need the Seahawks then to beat the Steelers.
Okay, so just so you know, Seahawks are sitting in the 7th spot in the NFC, and they are still alive. They have a 70% or an 88% chance of making the playoffs. If they win, they're currently sitting at 70. If they lose, they're at 41. Next team, please.
Now, if that doesn't happen, scenario number 3, need the Patriots to beat the Bills.
And the Patriots are 100% out. They are the 16 team in the AFC right now. Excuse me. And they are fighting for that top spot in the NFL draft, but that belongs to the Chicago Bears, who have the Panthers spot at 2-13.
And if that doesn't happen, then we need the Panthers to beat the Jaguars.
Panthers are, again, oh, look at that. We need 2 of the teams that are sitting at 16 right now, right? We need a Panthers win. That's what you just said?
Yes.
And the Jags, obviously, as you know, could be the team that we play in the first round of the playoffs. Although, if they lose, their playoff probability drops to 40%. So, okay. Was there one more team?
And the most convoluted of all the playoff scenarios.
Love the convolution. Keep going.
Is a Texans loss or tie to the Titans, plus a Colts loss or tie against the Raiders.
The Texans, if they lose, they have a 14% chance of making the playoffs. The Colts, if they lose, they have a 24% chance of making the playoffs.
But you know what? I kind of like that first scenario the best. Just beat the Jets and done.
Make life easy, my friend. Correct?
Absolutely. Just go beat the Jets. It's interesting. Joe Flacco was asked about playing the Jets, who, by the way, did not pick up a phone.
Do the Jets not? If you're a Jets fan, are you not aggravated?
Oh, that is beyond malpractice, especially because you're seeing what Joe Flacco did here. But here's the other thing, too. I don't know that Joe Flacco fit with the Jets because I'm just being real. He wasn't very good. Like, there's a reason nobody called him, right?
Right.
And it's because they were using his Jets tape against him, and the Jets tape wasn't that great, other than the game against the Browns where he threw those 4 touchdowns in September of 2022. his Jets tape wasn't really that good, right? So I don't know that the
Right.
Jets would have been a fit. But for the purposes of our podcast and purposes of Browns fans, we're going to sit here and make fun of how stupid the Jets are for not calling Joe Flacco, because he could have saved their season with Aaron Rodgers getting hurt and, being done for the year, right?
Right.
Instead, he's come to Cleveland in mid-November, and he has saved the Browns season. He's thrown for more yardage in his first 4 games than any Browns quarterback in history. He's thrown for more touchdowns in 4 games, in his first 4 games as starting quarterback for the Browns than any other quarterback has in team history. Him and Amari Cooper are just fantastic. They've hit on 11 plays of over 30 yards. They've hit on like 4 of those plays have gone for over 50 yards, including the 75-yard touchdown against Houston. This passing game has become vertical, but the Jets look really, really stupid. And, Robert Saleh was telling New York reporters on Tuesday, doing the well, that was an organizational decision and we respect Joe, blah, blah, blah. But just, we just decided not to do it. But you look really, really stupid right now. So it would be absolutely awesome if Joe Flacco threw for 300 and plus yards in his 4th straight game. By the way, last Browns quarterback to throw for 300 yards in 3 straight games, Josh McCown in 2015. Wow. Last Browns quarterback to throw for 350 in back-to-back games, Josh McCown in 2015. The last Browns quarterback to throw for 400 yards in a game, picking up a theme here, Josh McCown in 2015. So would love to see Joe Flacco throw for 4 Bills and just really light the Jets up. Now, he downplayed everything. When we visited with him in the locker room on Tuesday, he took the high road. He just said, hey, stuff happens in this league. It is what it is. And, the only reason it popped into my head is because I got family and friends asking me, hey, are the Jets going to call you? Why haven't they called you? Things like that.
Right.
But to me, this isn't going to be the Joe Flacco revenge game. You know who I think?
Yes, I do know.
Revenge game?
Yeah.
Elijah Moore.
Wouldn't it be great to see him have 250 in this one?
Oh, man. Because here's the thing. The Browns traded for him. They gave up their 2nd-round pick to get him from the Jets in March. We visited with him. Now, he did take the high road. Mm-hmm. But I posted the video on my X profile at Right or Wrong Fan.
Right.
Just look at his face as he's speaking, though. He knows. He wants to light them up. He does. And Robert Saleh was asked, so why didn't things work out with Elijah Moore? And I'm paraphrasing here, but Saleh basically said, that's got to be a conversation for another day.
Really? How about just saying it was an organizational decision, just like you said with Joe Flacco?
Well,
why wouldn't you say the same thing?
That's the thing, because that shows you the different level of respect there, right? Respect for Joe Flacco. Maybe not as much respect for Elijah Moore. And I guarantee you, even though Saleh didn't say anything inflammatory, it's to your point, Andy, the phrasing. Phrasing matters. And in this case, right, with Flacco, just organizational decision. We just decided not to do that versus, yeah, we can talk about that some other day. So that's telling you that there's some tea to be spilled in regards to what went down with Elijah Moore in New York. So, it's definitely, again, Moore didn't say as much, but if you watch the video I posted, you can see it on his face. He is dying to light the Jets up Thursday night. And I'm dying to see it too, because we have not had the Elijah Moore game this year. So what perfect time than on potential playoff clinch night on Amazon Prime.
All right, he is Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. We hope we see you guys all at Cleveland Browns Stadium on Thursday night. We'll have our post-game edition afterwards. Should be an exciting night in Northeast Ohio. The Browns play so well at home, and they've been playing great at home. Let's see if they can continue that. Wear white. The Browns are going to wear their throwbacks, and it's against the Jets, as we were reminded of the first primetime game against the Jets. Homer Jones with the big touchdown run on that on the first Monday Night Football game. So, man, it'd be great to have another one of those electric nights as the Browns have a chance to take care of business all by themselves, win and in. Again, for our producer, Meredith Kane, he's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. It is always game day. We'll talk to you immediately following the Browns and Jets.